Came with olive branches, boots up to their knees. They said, we're here to bring you freedom. Then they leveled all the trees. Well, they handed out some blankets with their logo stitched in red, and told the local children, be thankful you're not dead. Well, the peacemakers came in tanks, blue helmets lined in ranks. They built a wall and blessed the land, left it in our hands. They said, you're free now, go be brave, and then pointed at a grave and whispered, that's the cost of peace, you're lucky we behave. Textbooks full of holes and maps to change each day. They said this land was always ours, as they paved another way. Well, they taught us words like progress, but forgot to teach repair, and signed a deal at breakfast that bombed the school in prayer. All the peacemakers came in tanks, a line of men with gleaming shanks. They drew a flag on every roof and left us food and banks. Well, they shook our hands, then checked their guns, blessed the settlers' ranks, said, remember we were kind, well, we only hit your planks. Silence falls at sundown, but not from any calm. It's just the drones are quiet then, like a tragically terse song. Man, children sketch their futures with fences in the frame, while diplomats debate it all, call it by new names. Well, the peacemakers came in tanks to guard the oil and fill the banks. They brought the words, but not the weight of every soul they sank. So plant your seeds and teach your young, speaking louder tongues. For peace won't come from those from tanks, it grows where justice runs. Came with olive branches, boots up to their knees. They said, we're here to bring you freedom. Then they leveled all the trees. Well, they handed out some blankets with their logo stitched in red, and told the local children, be thankful you're not dead. Well, the peacemakers came in tanks, blue helmets lined in ranks. They built a wall and blessed the land, left it in our hands. They said, you're free now, go be brave, and then pointed at a grave and whispered, that's the cost of peace, you're lucky we behave. textbooks full of holes and maps that change each day. They said this land was always ours, so they paved another way. Well, they taught us words like progress, but forgot to teach repair. And signed a deal at breakfast that bombed the school in prayer. All the peacemakers came in tanks, a line of men with gleaming shanks. They drew a flag on every roof and left us food and banks. Well, they shook our hands, then checked their guns, blessed the settlers' ranks, said, remember we were kind, well, we only hit your flanks. Silence falls to sundown, but not from any calm. It's just the drones are quiet then, like a tragically terse song. Man, children sketch their futures with fences in the frame, while diplomats debate it all, call it by new names. Well, the peacemakers came in tanks to guard the oil and fill the banks. They brought the words, but not the weight of every soul they sank. So plant your seeds and teach your young, speaking louder tongues. For peace won't come from those from tanks, it grows where justice runs.
Alright, is this fucking thing on? Here we go. This is my first stream since the new year. It's the 9th of January 2026. I was going to post something on the day before, I guess New Year's Eve, and I didn't get to it, so I'm just going to forget about it and go on because a lot's happening, and I don't have time to go back and try to deal with that bullshit. So, anyways, a lot has been going on and already in 2026. We started out with, and I don't have any of this planned. I need to get into town. I'm in West Texas right now, in my hometown of Miles, Texas. My sister, her son is at a Make-A-Wish. The whole family's in Florida, are on their way back. They'll be here later this evening. And I've been watching the house, me and my daughter. So I've been getting ready to start my last semester of school coming up on the 20th of this month. And just taking care of things I need to take care of before I do that, because I do have other plans moving forward after I get my worthless piece of paper from a great school. But either way, you know what I'm talking about. So I wanted to do this before I put out another video of what I'm calling the B-side series. It's a collection of music stuff that I've collected over the years from my friends from when we were doing open mics in San Angelo, Texas during the pandemic, and moving, for about a year afterwards. We're doing them every Sunday. We call them the Sunday Reminiscent Rest Sunday Revival. We just invite anybody, the bars and the other venues, restaurants, taco trucks, they'd welcome us. It was a pop-up deal. That was just a great thing. So I have videos from that. And then my house was kind of a after party when I lived in San Angelo and Santa Rita. My house was kind of an after party for some of the musicians that we'd book. Because if you're from San Angelo, we kind of really, some places we were still doing music and we are still doing live events during COVID, because we're right, it wasn't fucking real. It was a fucking was a psyop is what it was. Not that it wasn't real, but it was a fucking psyop. So anyways, there is something crawling over here. Sorry, I had something crawling over here. Anyways, lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Anyways, let's just get to this here. Like I said, I don't have any of this planned. Oh yeah, I was talking about the music stuff. Before I do the B-side series, I'm gonna drop another video. You can find them on YouTube, or I think I posted it on Instagram and Remnants and Rye. I don't remember. And it's on Facebook, Remnants and Rye, which I'm gonna post most of my art stuff there. I am gonna still keep the name Remnants and Rye for this podcast. And Lauren and I, who Lauren moved outside of the country. So we haven't had a chance, or is moving outside of the country. So right now we're trying to figure out when we're going to do an episode of our other show, Rebel Frequency. But we'll do one soon, I'm sure. She's still in Texas, and we're going to figure that out. Anyways, I guess this is season 2 of Remnants and Rye. So, hey, I did a whopping 6 episodes last year. A lot of live stuff towards the end, but I'm going to try to be consistent with this stuff. Anyway, so a new session of the B-side series, which again is a music, bunch of musicians that I've caught some just kind of intimate behind the scene kind of videos of them doing covers of their own songs. So I'm going to do some of that, and plus I'm still recording. I have a few that I'm going to kind of bring in from the past, and then some new ones that I'm doing now, and I'm going to kind of interchanging what I'm going to do. But anyways, I'm going to try to post that every Friday. So tonight, Reagan Helms will be, I think it's the one I'm posting tonight. I have a schedule, and I can't remember what it is for today, but the one that I have by Reagan Helms, who's from here, from Miles, Texas, where I'm from, that's going to be an original song, if I'm not mistaken. And then I'm going to do another one by Randall, which is an original song, great song called Trying. You can actually find that song on Spotify, Trying by Randall Stevens. And I'm going to post that here probably next Friday. And then I have some of a young musician from San Angelo. His name is Logan Daniels. So I'm going to post some of those in the coming weeks. I'm trying not to run out of stuff, so I'm going to take my time and just that way I can stay pretty consistent with posting that, because that doesn't really take a lot of my time. It's just if I'm around a musician, I'm going to have my camera, and if we get some cool stuff, I'm gonna do that. So on the 1st of January, I did have a photo shoot with 12 Mile. I'm gonna see if I can show some of those right here. 12 Mile is a band out of San Angelo. Well, I guess I'm not going to be able to. That I've worked with on multiple occasions. I went up to College Station not long ago. I did some events for them. I guess I'm not going to be able to show these pictures. So I started that, and I did that with them on the 1st, and I'm excited to see what they got coming up this year. So that's kind of what's happened with me, but a lot of stuff is happening in the world right now. And like I said, I don't have any of this planned. I don't have anything in order, but I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've already kind of seen. I didn't really do much political stuff during the holidays because I wanted to keep my mind fresh, and there really wasn't, other than invading Venezuela, nothing really kind of happened in the holidays. If you'd think there was no attacks or no, anything super crazy until days after. So during the holidays, I was trying to take it kind of chill. But yeah, so we let's look up Venezuela. I'm just going to type in Venezuela on YouTube. Don't really have anything in particular. We're going to do a Fox, and we're going to do maybe a CNN. Let's see what the difference in news is. My computer's running really slow today, and again, I'm out in Miles, Texas, out of the country. So I don't know how my audio is. I just hooked up my stuff, and I'm going to have to take it down because the kids will be back here later today. So I just have a little hasty operation here And let's just top video. Okay, this is an 18-minute deal. And I misspelled Venezuela like a son of a bitch. I don't want that up there. Holy Mountain, have y'all seen that? I was watching that a few nights ago. It's not on here. It's a very freaky fucking movie, but it's awesome. Okay, well, let's do this because I heard about it.
President Trump announcing that he has called off a second wave. And straight to a Fox News alert overnight, President Trump announcing that he has called off a second wave of attacks against Venezuela.
The commander-in-chief writing, quote, Venezuela is releasing large numbers of political prisoners as a sign of seeking peace. This is a very important and smart gesture. The USA and Venezuela. Working well together, especially as it pertains to rebuilding in a much bigger, better, and more modern form their oil and gas infrastructure.
As the administration works to secure a brighter future for the country, President Trump telling Sean Hannity he expects to meet with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado in Washington next week.
Do you have any plans to meet with her? And would you accept the Nobel Prize she wants to hand to you?
Well, I understand she's coming in next week sometime. And I look forward to saying hello to her. And I've heard that she wants to do that. That would be a great honor.
Meanwhile, top U.S. oil executives are headed to the White House today for a meeting with the president on the future of Venezuela's oil. And what does that mean for you and your family? Donald Trump says it means that lower oil prices will happen all over the world. Would be a good thing.
It's a huge deal. Look, you know, it's going to take upwards of $50 billion or more to rebuild Venezuela's oil infrastructure. It's owned by a state-run company, and they have literally let it go to shambles. And now these companies will come in, invest reportedly over $100 billion to get the infrastructure going again. But at the end of the day, Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves, so the potential is tremendous.
So the president's going to be among the companies, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, and ExxonMobil. Here he is talking about what he expects.
We're going to be right here in the White House. We're going to meet with the, biggest oil people in the world. They're all coming here. The top 14 companies are coming here. They're going to go in. They're going to rebuild the whole oil infrastructure. They're going to spend at least $100 billion. And it's an unbelievable oil that they have and an unbelievable quality of oil and amount of oil.
What does that mean in terms of America's new partnership with Venezuela?
Well, it means lower oil prices all over the world, which is great for everybody. It means lower oil prices for America, which I have it down. Don't forget, I inherited a mess. They talk about affordability. There was no affordability under Biden. He had the worst inflation in history, the highest and worst inflation in history. Prices were through the roof, and I'm fixing it.
So he on average, they used to get 3.5 million barrels per day. In the
Okay, I want to go to a different video. It's also, I think it's Fox, is it? No, it's not. 1 second. So I wanted to talk about the fentanyl, the supposed fentanyl that comes out of Venezuela. And by the way, I'm not endorsing or really give a shit what Fox News says. I'm going to do some CNN stuff. I'm going to show Newsmax. I'm going to do one of my favorite shows that I watch called Breaking Points, which I still have here on the TV. I didn't get very far. It looks like I got 9 minutes into it. And I started to get ready for this. I need to turn down my notifications. So I am pulling up. I do this on my own. This is a one-man operation, so I have to go from screen to screen to jump to videos, and then go back and hit play. So here's this fentanyl one that I wanted to take a listen to that I saved earlier. I haven't got a chance to watch it, so we're going to watch it together.
All right, you're watching live now. I'm Austin Westfall. Live look at the Capitol on this Sunday, just past 6:30 in the nation's capital. Let's check in with Politico's Aaron Pellish. He's here to discuss everything Venezuela-related, Congress-related, White House-related. There's so many things to discuss today. A live look at Caracas. We've been taking live looks as the sun has gone down in Venezuela's capital city. But let's start here stateside. I know you track Congress closely. You wrote today that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is expected, and he says he's expecting the Senate to vote on whether to formally authorize the Trump administration's military actions in Venezuela. It's going to take place when members return to Washington this week, if it happens. So, Aaron, how would we expect that vote to actually play out?
Yeah, Austin, thanks for having me. So these Congress is by law required to notify, or the president, is required by law to notify Congress ahead of any military action abroad 48 hours before that action takes place. Obviously, the Trump administration did not do that in this case, but they are required by law to do that for any future engagements abroad or provide immediate briefings thereafter, something that legislators on both parties have really clamored for in the hours and days after the strike on Saturday. Now, these authorizations of use of military force, AUMF, so they're commonly called in Congress, they are what they're called privilege resolutions that you can offer. Chuck Schumer said this morning that he is going to co-sponsor a resolution essentially seeking to block the Trump administration from engaging in any further actions in Venezuela without explicit approval from Congress. This is something that Congress has the power to do, but it's unclear exactly how Democrats are going to get enough support to block Trump from doing further actions in Venezuela. Republicans have broadly praised.
So apparently this is a long video. I thought it was just a segment. I want to go to where Vance is talking. Maybe Vance doesn't talk. I might have clicked the wrong video. Oh, let's see what Rubio has to say. Here we go. God, why'd I do that? Here we go.
And they made this very clear. They did not notify Congress ahead of time because they didn't want it to leak. President Trump said that verbatim. They did not want any leaks. They did not want anybody to know about this before it took place. They didn't want to put any of those troops in jeopardy before they were sent on this mission. In general, Aaron, what was Congress's reaction to not being informed of the operation ahead of time?
Depends on which party. I'm sure you can imagine. It depends on which party these members are from. Republicans were largely, on the reacting to the merits of the action. The successful capture of Nicolas Maduro, on narco-terrorism charges, something that I think members of both parties are extremely happy to see. Democrats, I think, broadly were very concerned about the legality, the constitutionality, the violation of congressional power, and continue to be so. Democrats today, this morning, this afternoon, talking amongst themselves, talking in interviews on the Sunday shows, were very, very concerned about the overreach of executive authority, the violation of the War Powers Act, and as you can imagine, members of Congress hold the powers that they have that have been constitutionally provided to them. They hold those powers very, very sacredly, and to see them violated like that is a personal irritation for many members of Congress, including Chuck Schumer, including Hakeem Jeffries, including many members on the Armed Services Committee, on the Intelligence Committees, and who are involved in the national security. Talking amongst themselves.
It looks like in the background there, we just saw President Trump's motorcade arriving, so I expect that we'll see this enter the center of the shot here sometime shortly. Let's talk about VP Vance. You wrote today that Vice President Vance was defending Maduro's capture as part of efforts to reduce fentanyl trafficking into the United States, Aaron. How much fentanyl is coming from Venezuela?
Yeah, the vast majority of fentanyl that goes into the U.S. originates in Mexico and China. So if there's any fentanyl that's coming from Venezuela, it's very, very incremental amounts. But what the vice president was doing this morning was sort of rebutting, and in some cases rebutting to arguments that Republicans who have been critical of the Trump administration in the past, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, including Thomas Massie, people who have been really focused on restricting immigration and restricting fentanyl trafficking in the U.S., and B, very open, especially Marjorie Taylor Greene in recent weeks, very open about being willing to criticize the Trump administration. These are people who've also are aligned in the sense that they do not want to see the U.S. engage in foreign conflicts, who believe that that's what the MAGA movement, the America First movement, is fundamentally about on a foreign policy sense. And they both noted today that using fentanyl as a justification for this attack in Venezuela and for capturing Nicolas Maduro, they've both noticed some hypocrisy there, just in terms of the fact that, again, Mexico and China are really the chief manufacturers of fentanyl that then flows into the U.S. And Thomas Massie in particular saying that, like, this is essentially about oil and regime change and drugs and restricting drugs as sort of a pretense to kind of achieve aims towards oil and regime change in Venezuela. Now, Vance posted on social.
You know, that's another thing you keep hearing is regime change, and regime change has never worked out well for us. You know, look at Libya, look at Afghanistan, look at Iraq. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't because the reason it doesn't work is because we're not there for the reasons we say we are. There's false pretenses used to scare up the public, and keywords like terrorist and jihadist and all these things start getting made up and pushed out through Fox and CNN and all these mainstream medias and all these fake characters, these elite people, or even these actors and stuff like that, who are like, Cardi B, who, if you remember, I was watching, I probably pull it up now, I just don't want to look for it right now, the video where Charlie Kirk was saying that Cardi B was not a good role model for women or for young girls. And all of a sudden she's now on. And I didn't watch that. I probably should. I do watch stuff, even though I don't, I don't understand what's going on, what Turning Point has turned into. It's if it wasn't a cult, which I don't think it was, it definitely is now, or is turning into one. And I'm not talking about the people, maybe the people that are following it, I don't know. I'm talking about the inner workings of what it has turned into, because it's really fucking weird what's happening over there. And I do watch a lot of it just to kind of keep up. But anyways, I don't know what I went off on there on that little rant. I wanted to watch this video because of the mention of the Venezuela fentanyl, and whoever was talking, I'm not sure who it is. I was looking at Politico's Aaron Pellish was talking about how there isn't any fentanyl coming from Venezuela. I don't know if that's exact words. Again, I was looking for something else, but it's virtually 0%. And I was trying to see if I can find the numbers from the DEA website. Let me make sure my screen is not back on that. Give me a second. Let me stop sharing. Check the time, 2:19. The 2025 NDTA National Drug Treatment Assessment. I'm just going to scroll through it real quick and see if it's going to be very difficult to look through. It is a shit ton of pages. Let's see. Nicotine, heroin, marijuana, psychedelic doesn't even say. Okay, fentanyl, page 20. I'm just going to see if it's going to be a lot to look through, and that maybe I should do later and do. I found something about fentanyl. Yeah, it's let me go to this page 20. Okay, fentanyl. Let's take a look at it. I don't even know what I'm going to find here. I just it was sent to me by someone, but it's from the government's own numbers. Fentanyl, we all know what fentanyl is. It's very, very dangerous. I've known people that have overdosed on fentanyl. I've seen drugs. I've held drugs that have had fentanyl. I've been around it. Not that I don't hang around a bunch of drug people, but I do live life, and I do have a pretty. I've had a pretty wild life, so I've seen it. I've been around it. I know people that have done it. I've seen it from my own eyes, and right now I live in San Antonio. Right now, like I said, I'm in Miles right now, in West Texas. But I've seen it in San Antonio. If you drive around down San Pedro, which I go through down often to go to the camera store that I go to, the guys over there at Camera Exchange on San Pedro, you see the fentanyl that is destroying a beautiful city like San Antonio. And I don't think there's the same person that says, hey, no, let's keep it flowing from wherever it's coming from. If Venezuela was a big producer of fentanyl, there wouldn't be a problem with anyone saying, hey, let's not invade Venezuela. And I'm not saying we shouldn't invade Venezuela. I'm not even saying, I'm going through what we know. I'm talking about fentanyl. I'm talking about what the government says and what other people are saying. Analysts, real analysts, and journalists that have been doing this a lot longer, what they are saying about what is happening in Venezuela. So we can all think about it and make up our own mind. So fentanyl, illicit opioids, particularly illicitly manufactured fentanyl, remain the primary drivers behind the ongoing epidemic of drug overdoses, deaths in the United States. Here's a couple bricks. Overdoses decreased, but remain at dangerously high levels. This is from 2023 to when? To 2024? Okay, so that's interesting. Provisional data from CDC indicated that 74,702 of the 107,543 total drug overdoses in 2023, 69% involved synthetic opioids, primarily fentanyl. According to the most recent available CDC provisional data in the 12-month period ending in October 2024, the United States recorded 52,385 overdoses from the synthetic opioids, a 33% decline, while overall overdose deaths from any drug declined approximately 26%. So this is saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, that in 2024, and I'm not defending Biden. I am not defending Biden at all. I don't like any of the fucking presidents that we've had in the last, since I've been around. All right, fuck them all. Fuck Trump, fuck Bush, fuck Biden, fuck Clinton, fuck Reagan, fuck all of them. I don't even know why I threw Reagan in there, but the ones that I've been alive for, the ones that I remember, fuck them all. I'm not defending him, but this is interesting because this is coming from the DEA.gov website, 2025 NDTA. I don't want to scroll up and lose my page. So it's NDTA. I said what it was earlier. Synthetic opioid deaths 2013 to 2023. So it looks like look at this increase right here. Right before the pandemic, during the pandemic. So the pandemic kicked off in 2020. Look at that huge jump in fentanyl. What is it? Synthetic opioid deaths. Since 2013. Always had kind of a steady incline. Had a good little jump in 2019, 2020. Why? I wonder. Probably drugs. So went up again, and then in 2022, 2023, it went down. And then they're saying that in 2024, according to the most recent CDC provisional data in the 24-month period ending in October 24, the United States recorded 52,385 overdose deaths from synthetic opioids, a 33% decline, while overall overdose deaths from any drug declined approximately 26%. So there was an increase. Again, not defending Biden. I think the policies that he had were bullshit. And I'm going to get to that later on if I can weave my way to it. I got my thoughts on why that happens, and it's after a few other topics we want to talk about. So I'm glad I went into this. I don't think I'm going to be able to dig through all of it right now. I wanted to see if there's anything that shows where it comes from. Here's the seizures, I guess, here in the southern border. Here's some interstates, fentanyl cocktails found in all types of. I'm going to go one more pass through here. Let's look at this chart. Maybe let's not. Average fentanyl purity. Oh. Average fentanyl purity, number of fentanyl seizures by months seized. So the numbers of that went down, but also the overdoses. That's not. I don't know. That's something to think about. I don't know what all that means. Again, I was digging for something specific, but let me see if my other search came up. Because I see it all over the place. I just want the closest thing to a Trump administration or government number. And I might not find that here. The DA publication entitled Fentanyl Flow to the United States explains how fentanyl is trafficked primarily over the United States border, not from South America. That is, let's see if I'll find anything here. Fentanyl flow to the United States, DEA intelligence report. This was January 2020. I guess you can call this, I mean, anything could have changed. This needs to be updated, or maybe there is one. So I'm not going to dig into that right now. You can on your own, but I did give you a good piece of information to think about the overdose deaths, how that went down, and how we're using fentanyl as a pretense to go into Venezuela, which, you know, I don't understand why we are cheering on the same thing that people like Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, who, if you remember, was a never Trumper, right? Let's see if we can find that. Let's see if we can find Marco Rubio, never Trumper. And you know what? I need to check my text because I'm waiting something from my mom. I'm about to make food. Ooh. Just got invited to lunch. Sorry. And this is live, so I'm gonna have this chopped up, and I'll have all those this little interruption taken out so you can watch it later on. So I'm waiting on let's see what Rubio used to say about Trump. Let's see what Rubio used to say about Trump. And this isn't me hating on Trump. This is just showing you what, because I'm going to talk about it. I bet you all know later.
I bet you all know. You all have friends. You all have friends that are thinking about voting for Donald Trump. Friends, do not let friends vote for con artists.
Okay. Well, that was stupid. That didn't. Okay, con artist is about to take over 9 years ago. Let's look at this one.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio is with us now from Houston. Senator, good morning.
Good morning.
Did someone hit the panic button last night?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it. And part of it is, look at the report you guys just did. Donald Trump last night had no answers on the issue of health care. And if you listen to that report that just led into this, the media is pumping him up as some sort of unstoppable force. Donald Trump has portrayed himself now consistently as fighting for the working people, and he has a record of sticking it to working people for 35 years. If any other candidate in this race had his record, there would be nonstop reporting on it. But unfortunately, he's being pumped up because many in the media with a bias know that he'll be easy to beat in a general election. So we're going to put a stop to it now. There is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
Okay, that's enough. There's also Lindsey Graham, and if you're just now jumping on, a few of y'all have, the reason I'm going to bring that up, I'm bringing these up, is to talk about a topic here in a bit that I'm going to tie to this. But there you see Marco Rubio, who obviously now is Team Trump, and here's Lindsey Graham, So that's interesting, right? And we can look at what Lindsey Graham has always been a war hawk, a neocon for the Middle East for as long as that he's been in. Which another guy, I'm going to show you a book that let me get this screen taken care of here. I'm fixing to start this book called On Freedom of the Press, Mark Levin, another just a neocon type figure that I used to listen to and that I used to grow up watching. And anyways, he's one of these guys. He's there's this bill I was looking for. What was I going? Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio. So this is from Dropsite News. This is Ryan Grim. You can also watch Ryan Grim on Breaking Points, which is a rather, depending on the day that you're on, it's a pretty unbiased network. You have Sagar, who I think owns the deal, owns the company, maybe, I don't know. He's kind of the main guy. He's I guess he'd be libertarian. Then you have Emily, who's a Republican who works with Megyn Kelly. I was going to see him in San Antonio and I forgot all about it. I think that's already passed. I was going to go see Emily. I'm a big fan of Emily. And Ryan Grim, who I believe Ryan is more of a Democrat, lefty, and then so is the other chick that's on in the mornings on Mondays. What's her name? I can't remember her name right now. But anyways, Ryan Grim is one of the guys from that from Breaking Points, and he writes great about a lot of things, but the two topics that I've been reading a lot of that he's been doing a really good job with is with Venezuela, Marco Rubio, Venezuela, tying that together, and then tying Marco Rubio to other things, and why he kind of changed his mind and from a never Trumper to a staunch supporter and just somebody that's just hungry for war in South America. Not just Venezuela, and it goes way back. So I'm going to read this. Like I said, he does this, and then also Grim talks very well, writes very well about the whole Epstein debacle, which there's some ties to Epstein in Venezuela. If you want to go way back, there's CIA ties with different things that have happened, and we can go into that later on. I actually do want to go into it later on. But right now, this is Ryan Grim inside Marco Rubio's push for regime change in Venezuela. Little to no fentanyl is coming from Venezuela, according to U.S. intelligence. That's what I was trying to look up. So this is a screenshot by Donald Trump to Truth Social on September 15th, announcing a U.S. strike on alleged drug vessel. U.S. intelligence has assessed that little to none of the fentanyl traffic in the United States is being produced in Venezuela. Despite recent claims from the Trump administration, a senior U.S. official directly familiar with the matter tells Dropsite. The official noted that many of the boats targeted for strikes by the Trump administration did not even have the requisite gasoline or motor capacity to reach U.S. waters, dramatically undercutting claims by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. The claim is backed up by recent comments by Senator Rand Paul, Republican out of Kentucky, who similarly noted that zero fentanyl is produced in Venezuela. Despite the lack of intelligence linking Venezuela with fentanyl production, the Trump administration has made alleged Venezuela drug trafficking the casus belli in its drive to overthrow the government of Nicolas Maduro. On Thursday, President Donald Trump referred to the possible grand action, claiming at a press conference that the seed drugs coming in are 5% of what they were a year ago. So now they're coming in by land. The land is going to be next, he said, indicating he's willing to bypass congressional approval. On Friday, the U.S. announced it is sending a aircraft carrier to Latin America for further escalation. When was this? This was October 24th. This is something that I was reading that they came out with a while back that I just now got to read. So this is kind of precursor to what Rubio, I'm going to see what his, if there was something else. Let's move on to this. So I want to talk about Larry Ellison, how he vetted Marco Rubio. I don't know if I got to what I wanted on this last one. Rubio cycled through multiple arguments. Here we go. This is toward the end. Let me scoot up a bit. Despite the lack of attendance, okay, I just need to keep reading. Two sources familiar with the discussions at the White House noted that Secretary of State Marco Rubio, a longtime prominent regime change in Venezuela, has been the driving force behind the aggressive military and rhetorical posture toward the Maduro regime. Toward that end, Secretary Rubio, also in charge of the remits of the U.S. Agency of Internal Development, was redirected millions of dollars in money previously allocated for pro-democracy measures in Venezuela and the surrounding countries, a thinly veiled effort to prep the region for war. Rubio cycled through multiple arguments for regime change in Venezuela during the early months of the administration, largely based around human rights and election concerns, which isn't every time we invade a country, just like we did Iraq. They have weapons of mass destruction. Okay, they don't have weapons of mass destruction, so why are we there? Oh, we're going to save these people. And then we have an occupation for 20 years and we make their lives worse than what they were in the first place. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but that's just, how a lot of us feel, that we cause a lot more harm than what we should have, given that we should have never been in the first place. Anyways, so of course that's what you do. So let me go back to where I was at today. Toward the end, also in remnants of the U.S. Has directed millions of dollars previously allocated for pro measures. The official. Oh, here we go. In election concerns which were unconvincing to Trump. Let me start over with what I was reading before I jumped off. Rubio cycled through multiple arguments for regime change in Venezuela during the early months of the administration, largely based around the human rights and election concerns which were unconvincing to Trump. After assuming a position on the National Security Council in the spring, Rubio then presented a new argument to Trump that Maduro was a narco-terrorist drug trafficker based on a 2020 indictment by the Department of Justice under the first administration over alleged cocaine trafficking. I guess it would do us a little bit of good to read that. I'm just checking on something here real quick. And actually, I'm going to have to pause because I'm getting a call. So I'm going to put on my music here. And I'll be right back. Give me a second. I have to take this phone call.
All the branches, boots up to their knees. They said, we're here to bring you freedom. Then they leveled all the trees. Well, they handed out some blankets with their logo stitched in red. And told the local children, be thankful you're not dead. Well, the peacemakers came in tanks, blue helmets lined in ranks. They built a wall and blessed the land, left it in our hands. They said, you're free, now go be brave. And then pointed at a grave and whispered, that's the cost of peace. You're lucky we behave. textbooks full of holes and maps that change each day. They said this land was always ours, so they paved another way. Well, they taught us words like progress, but forgot to teach repair. They designed to deal at breakfast, the bombs of school and prayer. All the peacemakers came in tanks, a line of men with gleaming shanks. They drew a flag on every roof and left us food and banks. Well, they shook our hands and checked their guns, blessed the settlers' ranks, said remember we were kind. Well, we only hit your flanks.
I'll come back. I'm more likely to stay and miss the games or unless you lose the game.
And now silence falls at sundown, but not from any calm. It's just the drones are quiet then, like a tragically terse song. Man, children's catch their futures with fences in the frame. Well, diplomats debate it all, call it by new names. Well, the peacemakers came in tanks to guard the oil and fill the banks. They brought the words, but not the weight of every soul they sang. So plant your seeds and teach your young, speaking louder tongues. For peace won't come from those from tanks, it grows where justice runs.
Okay, shit. Uh-oh. Excuse me. I went outside to stretch my elbow. I had to make a phone call and make sure I got volume here. Yeah, I had to take a phone call. My sister, whose house I'm in right now, she's traveling from, my nephew had a Make-A-Wish, and they went to Disneyland or World, whichever one's in Florida. I guess they went to Florida, right? They gotta, I don't know. They went, I'm watching their house, and, you know, I never got a Make-A-Wish, which is a good thing, I guess. But, you know, I wish he would have asked me first, because we could have went somewhere else, and they could have took me. Because I don't want to go to Disney World, but I'd like to go. I'd like to go somewhere on a Make-A-Wish. So anyways, he's young. He doesn't talk very well. He has autism, and he has muscular dystrophy. So he runs around. He's big as hell because he's on steroids. So he can deadlift already. No, he can't do that, but he's a wild one. Anyways, he should have consulted with me, and we probably could have discussed something, and maybe, you know, I'm sure he would have loved the shark reef at the Mandalay Bay. I love it. And, you know, maybe that could have been his Make-A-Wish, but that didn't happen. Boppo, next time, think about me, cuz. What were we talking about? I was talking about Rubio. Marco Rubio, who again was a never Trumper. Let me pull up. I guess I was reading the Inside Marco Rubio's Push for Regime Change. Let's see how far I got. Rubio's policy was most recently at a crossroads after Maduro offered to turn over those oil resources to the United States in exchange for cessation of hostilities. Trump acknowledged the offer in a recent appearance, saying Maduro offered everything. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. You'll remember that. I know the right was like, yeah, I fucking told him. And but the main thing here is that Maduro offered to turn over these oil resources to the United States. So I get it. That's kind of what we're the ones of us that don't buy the direct thing, which I don't really realize. And I'm trying to look at this from a as objective point of view as I can. But when the numbers, the government's numbers, your very own government is saying, hey, there's no fucking fentanyl coming out of there. So, but you're telling me something else. I'm like, hey, not that I trust the government over other people. I don't trust the government either, right? So that's how they get you. Who the fuck are you going to trust? You're going to trust exactly what Trump and Marco Rubio and all his and all of Trump's cabinet's going to say. You're going to trust who have lied. And let's be honest, whether you're on his side or not, let's be honest, they have lied. Trump has lied. They've all lied about stuff. Let's just take the Epstein case. They've all fucking lied to cover up and protect wealthy individuals, to protect themselves, to protect the three-letter agencies that run this country, not that run this country, but that operate, the ones that are the stage production, the ones that are the writers of this big old script that we call life every single day, of all these events that are happening everywhere, of false flags, of laws that protect people for things that they do or whatever. This just unjust bullshit that's going on. It's all fucking. Why is this popping up? Why after Maduro offered these resources to the U.S. in exchange for cessation of hostilities, don't kill us, don't attack us, don't invade us, Trump acknowledges it, says this, hey, offered everything. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Why doesn't he take the deal? So it wasn't about drugs. They're making it seem like it's not about oil, but also they're telling you it's about oil. Trump spent very little the day of when they captured Maduro talking about fentanyl. He did say that they were. Let's look that up. What I'm saying, because I don't think that was a very long speech when he captured. President reveals plans for governorship of Venezuela. That was last night. That's a long deal. Let's see if I can find where he captures. Trump says we're going to run Venezuela 6 days ago. That's 11 minutes. Trump captures Maduro. Says Democratic pressers calling for Maduro are paid. I don't know. I guess there are people saying free Maduro. I don't. I'm not a free Maduro guy, but I'm also like, hey, what the fuck are we doing? Like, let's look at the facts. Are we doing this the right way? And I think that's the way this should be looked at. Not, oh, Trump says this or the left is saying this, and I have to choose that. I guess I'm not gonna find what I'm looking for. Let's just go back to this. Trump rejected the offer after being swayed by arguments from Rubio that the best way to secure Venezuela's oil reserve was to facilitate regime change in Venezuela and make a better deal with the new government, the sources said. So that sounds to me a lot like, now it's a little bit different, but it sounds to me a lot like the Clean Break Act, which was written back in, 96? I believe it was 96. That was the neocons. It was led by Douglas Feith, and it was written for Benjamin Netanyahu. And basically, what it was is like, hey, you need. They came to him and said, hey, you need to play nice with Palestine, with Gaza, Palestine, and they're like, or we can. You got to make nice with them because all the Arab countries around us are getting pissed off, and they're gonna blow you up. They're gonna fuck you up, or we don't play nice with any of them. We bomb each and every single one of them, take over, or install factions or install leaders that are pro-Israel, pro-United States, pro-Zionist movement that we don't have to be nice to anyone. So that sounds a lot like what this kind of deal was. Like, hey, he rejected offers by Rio. The best way to secure oil reserve was to facilitate regime change. Same goddamn thing. No, let's not. Let's just go ahead and take it. Why do we just don't Trump? It's a draw. It's a draw. If Maduro turns himself in, nothing's gonna happen. Or no, I'm sorry, if Maduro turns himself. But if he offered it, if he gave that oil to the United States, what was gonna happen? He had to step down, which was what part of his deal was he'll step down. One of his guys was going to step in for a while, but he couldn't run for re-election. And then you have the other chick, that won the Nobel Peace Prize, which I was looking at the Nobel Peace Prize earlier. Let me see if I still have those notes. It's just very weird that Epstein had some involvement with what was going on with. Yeah, I'm not gonna find that. He had some involvement, and he would boast about having the ability to sway a decision during the for the Nobel Peace Prize, which was kind of weird. Rejected. We're still rejected the offer. The CIA did not respond to requests for comment. President Trump promised to secure our border, combat narco-terrorism, and stop the flow of deadly drugs in our country, said Tommy Pigott, a principal deputy spokesperson for the State Department. He is doing just that, and the department continues to fund narco-terrorism and law enforcement programs that support that goal. Maduro is not a legitimate leader of Venezuela. He's a fugitive in American justice who undermines regional security and poisons America. So they're still going with hey, he's a I think I'm getting kicked off. I'm getting kicked off of TikTok and Instagram. Did I say something wrong?